welcome to another episode of the Goodsugar podcast. I am Ralph Sutton, back with me again, once again, Marcus Antebi. Now, Marcus, really quickly, I do want to get into where Goodsugar's at, but today's a little bit of difference because we don't have a lot of time on our hands. Again, my fault. I'll take the heat for this because we get emails. People get mad that we cut the show short, but I can't help it. I've been trying to stack up a lot of episodes of my other show and of this one so I can take a much needed vacation soon, right? But so let's just bring our guest on right away. You could find him on Instagram at Certified Health Nut, has a book called Ripped at 50. Even though he's 55, he's in far better shape than I can ever dream to be in. You can also check his website, TroyCasey.com. It is Troy Casey. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing awesome. Just got off the trails here in Sedona, Arizona, and I'm feeling good.
Yeah, I saw you showed us before we went on that you fucking smashed the shit out of your toe, and I would not be handling it as manly as you are right now. I would be crying. I would be rescheduling this episode just for that. But I'll give you credit. Already, your manliness far exceeded mine just from that toe bleed.
That's funny. I've been doing the barefoot walking for a while, and I stubbed my toe this morning, and me and my naturalist buddy were talking about, not cleaning it out and allowing the bacteria just to heal it. So that's what I'm going to try this time around because I probably
really no washing it or anything.
Yeah, I'll just tip it up. It's a little sticky. It's a little sticky because of the blood, but we'll just see how it goes. I mean, I've tried peroxide in the past and cleaning it all up. I'm just going to try it this way. It makes sense because the gut microbiome's all over the body.
Well, if you die from this infection, it's nice that we get your last interview with you. So that's pretty cool.
I love it.
I know Marcus has a bunch of questions for you. I will say I do. Anytime a guest comes on, I do what I can, a little research to understand someone, get where they're coming from before we bring you on. I know you do these, I guess it's called Man Clan retreats. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes.
And also I watched a ton of your YouTube videos going back to 2016 or something. You've been on YouTube a long time. I think you quote unquote quit social media 3 times, but still keep coming back to it. Is that about right?
I've taken a couple social media fasts. Yes.
Okay. So never officially quitting, but you take like breaks.
Hiatus, yes.
Hiatus is okay. And I saw, and it looks like, am I right that your beard started growing right around when you had your own self-proclaimed midlife crisis around 2017? Because that's the first time I saw you starting to get scruff, and now here we are 3 years later with this very, very pronounced beard.
Yeah, this is a product of a divorce and just not giving a fuck anymore. And I've been in front of the camera for 33 years, and I used to have to prep for photo shoots, and I would prep weeks on out. And after a while, and I know content is king, and I was shooting a lot of content, I just started waking up and shooting content, not giving a fuck. And actually, people would say, hey, you'll make more money and you'll get more chicks if you just shave. And nothing could be further from the truth.
The first time I showed your picture to our producer Brian, an old picture of you that you just put up recently with Richard Branson from I guess it looks like your modeling days. I'm not even sure when that was from, but to you now, when I showed the now picture, Brian goes, "Oh, that guy's getting fucking laid all the time right now, isn't he?" I'm like, I imagine so. He looks like the fucking manliest man on the planet. I have to imagine that happens.
Well, I got to tell you, through all the troubles and trials and tribulations and dating women on Tinder at like 50, years old, I'm celibate right now. I've dealt with a lot of headaches, and I'm doing a lot of spiritual work on myself right now. And I'm going to be very picky and choosy with the women rolling out here in the future. But I'm very interested in procreating and having a lot more babies, by the way.
You have kids already. I saw that, right? You do have at least one kid, I know.
I have 2 wonderful children. They're amazing. I put them through the Waldorf school system. I spent every single day of their life with them. And I've been just dealing with some challenges and, the shadow of life in general. And my kids have been kidnapped away from me right now. And I'm just eating humble pie and growing through my, spiritual evolution and things that I've called forth to become a Zen master or enlightened in this lifetime. And it ain't easy, but somebody's got to do it.
Hey, Ralph. Ralph might not. Wait, hold on. Okay, go. You go.
No, good.
Ralph might not understand what you're saying. I don't know. I can't judge. But I completely understand. Minus the beard, I wear a beard in my mind that's about 6 feet long. Because I woke up at around age 50, and I lost hope in that concept somewhere in my 40s. I actually didn't have the right instructors to help me understand what it meant. And when I started to wake up, I realized that it wasn't all that exciting as I was taught that it was. Like I was reading it from Buddhist teachings or the yogic teachings. I created enlightenment to be something much greater than it actually is, because I added a spiritual component to it rather than understanding it from an intellectual component. And I'm writing about it a lot now, and I can tell now just talking to you that you're in a great space for Troy Casey. It doesn't have to be a great space for me or for Ralph, but because we're all different. We're different creatures, and it doesn't make sense for me to tell people how to be enlightened Marcus style. It just makes more sense for me to tell you what I'm doing on myself.
I think we can only come from our own perspective. We're all in our little, spiritual spacesuit skin bags over here. And there's conceptual ideas and idealistic tribalism and all sorts of ideas. But at the end of the day, you got to be in present moment reality. That's the only thing that we can deal with.
That's, by the way, one of my biggest issues with a lot of these diets or meditational practices or whatever else you want to say. They're going to be biased from the person's perspective only, but yet very often, and I have to be honest, haven't done enough due diligence to say whether or not you fall in this bucket or not, where they're saying, well, my way works, as opposed to, well, my way works for me. You could try it and see what happens for you. And I think that's the biggest problem with every single, whether it's intermittent fasting, being vegan, whatever it is, horoscopes, I don't know. But there was funny because we had a guest on the show a while ago who wrote a great book that I can't praise it enough, called Chatter, which really started explaining how your inner voice can really affect your outlook on life, and how you treat that inner voice can affect it, and how even placebos, you may disagree with this statement, but crystals, horoscopes, as a placebo, even if they have no actual proof of working, as a placebo could still make a difference to somebody if they believe in it, and even if they don't believe in it, which is crazy. But that is just the fact of humanity. The brain is so powerful, but I just don't like when it's like, no, this is the way you need to do it. That's what bothers me more than anything else.
I 100% agree with that, and that is my approach. This is my experience. I can only talk from direct experience. Do you have any scientific proof for that? Yeah. Let me look in the toilet bowl or rip off my clothes. There's my scientific proof. And so, and that's what I try and teach in my men's groups, in my book: basic, fundamental, biological, physiological, and psychological principles that apply across the board to all human beings. And then when you apply them, you get to have your own results. If it doesn't work, I like the Bruce Lee quote, study with everyone, take what's useful, discard the rest, make it your own. And so if it doesn't work for you, I also like to say, ideas are great, but if it doesn't live inside of a human being, it has no ballast in reality.
Mm-hmm. Well, everyone has great ideas. It's about the implementation of that idea that makes a difference as well. The first thing that comes up when I Google you is the butthole sunning. Is that something you still partake in and still believe in? And you mentioned looking in your toilet. Does a tan asshole change the pigment of your shits?
No, to the last question.
I told you he was good.
Okay, so the toilet bowl. You want to see how healthy you are? Look at how well your intestines are working, and so and work backwards from there. And so. But the butthole sunning went viral. A friend of mine, he's an elite CrossFitter, turned kind of yoga guy. He's a real interesting guy, super fit, super good looking, raw of earth. He was studying Kundalini yoga, and perineum sunning, or getting sun on your nuts, helps with testosterone. It helps to energize that area down there. And it's the weakest mucous membrane in the body. And his whole theory was, get 30 seconds of sun equals like 8 hours. And he did a video in front of my friend's teepees, And Johnny Knoxville shared it, and it went viral. It went all the way to the Colbert Report, Rolling Stone, New York Post for 7 months. It wouldn't stop. I mean, truly viral. And you can't control viral. And I was implicated. JP Sears did a video on it as well. And I was implicated in most of them. And yeah, it's great. And it's good for media. I'm here to help people think differently. And it was great for media. But how much do I butthole sun? I don't know. Maybe 3 or 4 times a year. I mean, you
still do it though, but you do it.
Sure.
I just was trying to understand, evolutionarily speaking, where would we decide that that's important? Like, how did the man know they had to flip upside down and stick their anus up to the sky? Like, where's the evolutionary track for that?
Probably.
Or another animal that does it. They say, look at all these, monkeys with gorgeously tanned balls. Like, where did that? Show me another animal that does it.
Well, and here's the differentiation, the demarcation point, and what a lot of the stupidity in the argument was going on with the scientists and the doctors. Oh, you don't want to burn your asshole and all this stuff.
Well, I don't care about that part. Yeah,
it's 30 seconds.
Yeah, but I don't care about that part.
30 seconds.
I didn't even think about that. But I just
what? It's 30 seconds, and it's as arbitrary as a lot of the arbitrary things that come out of the academic community that people say this is the truth and that's double-blind study this and that's got a peer-reviewed paper.
The truth scientifically changes every year also. You never know. You learn new things. And eventually you might find out that that's the most effective way to cure every cancer is tanning your butt cheeks. Who knows?
Troy, I have a relationship with one of the smartest endocrinologist doctors on the planet Earth. He's a brilliant guy. His name is Jeffrey Mechanic. And he has a very unique way of framing some of the wacky shit that we say. He doesn't use words like homeopathic. He doesn't use, like home medicine and stuff like that. He looks at, if you personally sunbathe your balls and you get a positive result, that's medicine for you.
Correct.
Is it something that you can get an FDA approval on saying fixes this problem, fixes that? No, and it shouldn't be, because it's not been proven to do anything. But the idea is if you have 25 things that you do in your routine that make you feel present, alive, that are part of the things that you believe that are keeping you healthy, then of course it's amazing. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, look, you need
that kind of stuff.
Not to keep bringing up this book that I was reading, Chatter, because we had the author on the show a few months ago. He has shown, with scientific double-blind, peer-reviewed paper nonsense, if you believe that stuff, like I like to look at, that reconnecting with nature, things that bring you in the present, all these things have proven to help people. Where the same part of your brain that registers pain when you see these things decreases that pain, because your mind is getting more reconnected to whatever, where we came from or whatever. But at least when I read that there's a peer-reviewed paper and they show scientifically how these things have worked, helps me a lot better than watching some guy on TV, not to keep harping on it, tanning his nutsack. So I just like to see, when I do see those things, it makes me feel a little better, because that's how I'm wired. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally. Well, and the nocebo-placebo is a big aspect, but let's just face it. Laughter is the best medicine. If tanning your butthole and your nuts gives a smile on your face. I studied with indigenous healers from New Zealand, and they say, lighten up. It's a form of enlightenment. And so just getting out there and trying something new.
Can we all take a picture together tanning our fucking perennials to the sun? That would be awesome.
It'll go viral.
I will say this though, Troy, I am not taking my shirt off next to you. There's no fucking way that's happening. I'll tell you that.
I actually, I never structure questions for guests, because I also always wing it. And Ralph will tell you, I never prepare for our shows. We have some really educated guests. I just listen, and when I find something, I go.
Yeah, and I send him, by the way, Troy, I send him all these beautifully prepared notes, and can tell he never even opened the goddamn document. I could say I stopped sending him documents.
I'm a busy guy, you know what I'm saying? And
I'm not at all.
What I would say about, to our listener, how I look at a guy like Troy is, he's an explorer, he's an adventurer, he thinks for himself, he obviously pulls from a lot of different things out there, and he puts it through his own filter. And the most important thing that I can see with Troy is that why he is on the show after stubbing his toes, because generally beforehand, he has a very positive outlook on life, and that's a huge aspect of longevity. And I think, I respect you more. I don't follow anybody on internet. It's not what I do. It's not like I'm not trolling around internet.
Yeah. By the way, evident by the fact that you're calling it on internet, it shows us all how tech savvy you are.
Thank you. I would say that seeing you moving, looking at your eyes, getting a flow vibe of your beard, I would say you have a great life. You're a great role model. And so I have questions that I want to ask you that I think bring you back to earth a lot better for me. And can I run through these questions?
Yeah, I love that you did these. By the way, Troy, not to get you too excited, this is the most prep work he's done in a year and a half. So he's really excited to talk to you. So great that this is happening. Go ahead, Marcus.
Are you done?
Yeah.
All right. They're quick questions. You could take as long as you want. I just, you don't have to overthink them or anything. But okay, here's my first question. How important is the ocean to you?
Pretty important until the BLM riot started in my neighborhood in Los Angeles. And then I got the fuck out, and it's not that important anymore because the mountains are here to support me. But I do love the ocean.
Wow, what a great answer. So you traded, you weren't that attached. You went from ocean to mountains. You said it's the same thing.
For freedom is my litmus test for, happiness.
What addictions do you have that you're dealing with, either positive or negative right now in your life?
Well, I think, I don't know how much of an addiction it is with social media because I'm working on it and I have a full media platform and business. But I'm on it. I'm on it quite a bit. I try and manage it as much as possible. Again, I don't know how much of an addiction it is because I'm mission driven, I'm mission oriented. But I'm on it, 8 hours, I think my telephone says. And sometimes I'm loading, sometimes I'm answering questions, sometimes I'm researching. So that's that. And then, I'm managing my addictions to the degree I'm managing my stress. And I don't drink alcohol right now. I like tobacco. I smoke organic tobacco. I also believe that tobacco is very grounding and it clears negative energy. I know that as a fact. And I quit recently, but I went back pretty quickly because my old lady stole $100,000 from me and took my kids away from me. Oh. And so I started smoking again. And I was like, oh, okay, this is what I was doing in the first place. And then last year during coronavirus, because my wife and we got back together and I stopped smoking pot for many, many years. And I don't like being dopey. But all of a sudden during lockdown and being back with my old lady and just trying to be mellow and having a case of the fuck-its, and business was good. I just started rolling spliffs first thing in the morning. And so that came to an end about 3 or 4 months ago. And then my coffee addiction comes and goes, and I feel much better hormonally and rested wise and health wise. And I don't grind my teeth when I'm off caffeine. So I like to be as sober as possible, as much as possible. But those are some of my vices. I've been off pornography for over 2 years now. And I like that because I think there's some layered conditioning that goes on with that and how I view women and talk to women. And I'm still unwinding that. But I love tobacco. And I think tobacco will probably always be in my life. It just comes to the degree of managing it. And I've got a far infrared sauna in my room that helps me detox as well. I
read also that you were an advocate of ayahuasca, at least at some point you were talking about ayahuasca. Is that something that's still in your life or no?
Yeah. And that's not an addiction. And I don't think too many people can get too addicted to it unless they just think that ayahuasca is the answer. And then they go and drink every weekend. I started drinking ayahuasca in 2006 in the Amazon rainforest. I was working with an herbal company. I usually drink medicine in the jungle. I've done it about 40 times over the past 15 years. And yeah, I don't do ayahuasca in North America very much. I've done a handful of ceremonies up here and I don't do it very often, but I'm not afraid of my medicine. So
okay. All right, Marcus, you want to continue your path?
Yeah, I would. So it sounds like you're a very normal guy when it comes to managing these things. I would just comment and say that tobacco is a sacred plant medicine, very, very powerful one, obviously. And taking it into the lungs. For some people,
pornography is also a sacred medicine.
All right, so correct. I'm not going to lecture you about that one. Tobacco can really get a hold of you and keep a hold of you, and cannabis is a very jealous plant. Once she takes a hold of you, she doesn't like to let you go. I'm sober. I got sober from cannabis when I was 15, 35 years ago. I got sober the old school 12-step way, and I still remember how she used to talk to me in the middle of the night. Okay, so a quick one. So just based on what you're talking about, would you say that you came from a rough childhood or an easy childhood? Are you coming from a place of trauma? And how much of that stuff would you say plays into your drive to improve yourself, spiritual life, etc.?
Well, I think I had a magical life. Grew up on a lake. Part of my life. My parents had some challenges. Got busted by the FBI, and I ended up on my own on the street at 14 years old. I think I'm pretty blessed because of that, because it helped shape the human being that I am today. And yes, that trauma, those challenges have made me grow. So with what's happening with my ex-wife currently, stealing money from me and taking my children away from me, I get to let go of that. And there's a certain part of me that's like, friend or foe, fight or fuck, who are you right now? And there's a certain part of Troy Casey when you meet him on the street that's a little dangerous. And I get to, really refine that in my older age and elevate my soul and stop coming from such a defender, which has a victim side of that as well, from trauma or just living on the street. You get punched in the face once or twice and there's nobody around to protect you. You start, defending yourself either with your words or, there's also an honor code on the street. So I don't like to bullshit people. So all that stuff has helped shape me. No victims here. And
you could say that you could look at it, the glass half empty. You can say, or half full. You can say it helped shape you, or it could have impeded you. And in spite of those things, you still became the Troy Casey that you are. In other words, if you had to redo your life, I'm sure there's lots of things you would leave out of it.
I just would say this. I hope when Troy and I meet, he doesn't give me the option to fight or fuck, because I don't know which one I'm picking.
Okay, I'm going to skip a few of these because I wouldn't say that they're that good. Do you consider yourself a yogi?
No.
Okay.
Well, no, I do not. And I like to point out that the definition of yoga is union of body and mind. And I've adopted some yogic principles, but yeah, I don't consider myself a yogi, even though I look like one. And
Are you a samurai?
I'm a badass motherfucker. That's it.
I like it.
Do you not study yoga, or you do?
I studied Ashtanga and I studied Vipassana meditation, and yoga is an 8-fold path. So what part of yoga are we talking about? Are we talking asana, pranayama, meditation, devotional, bhakti love?
I wasn't getting that specific. I think that for you talking directly to me, yoga is just a peaceful, non-harm path. That's my definition of it. I don't look at the postures of having any significant meaning. And I think that the teachings are actually, I have a great reverence for the teachings, but I also think they're very limited because they don't really cover trauma and childhood and, the intricacies of the emotional world, which really are the things that bind us and attach us. It's easy to create a system of denial to say, hey, be happy all the time, which is great. But, that doesn't really make great humans. There are people out there that actually have to go back and become aware of what happened to them in order for them to enlighten and liberate their mind. They can't just simply walk around saying, hey, man, it's all good, man. It's all good. That only goes so far.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't consider myself a yogi. And again, my definition is the union of body and mind, which, yes, I am doing. So I guess people can consider me a yogi. I just try not to put too many labels on anything.
Oh, that's very yogi-like of you.
Well, except apparently badass motherfucker. That's one of them. Go ahead, Marcus. Keep going.
All right. So you've told me a lot. I could see the kind of guy you are. I really can. I'm not labeling you. By the way, I know you're versatile. I know that in 6 months from now, if you wanted to shave your beard and start wearing a suit and tie, you could do that just like that because you're malleable kind of guy. You go with the flow. So you'd say now that the way you live life, would it be very hard for you to adapt to New York City life if you had to do it for 3 to 4 years and be away from nature?
Well, the linchpin there is had to do for 4 years. Like, I'm mission oriented. If I got to move to New York and start, doing my song and dance out in New York, I love New York. First of all, I'll take John Lennon's old apartment or Bruce Willis's. And so, look, I'm happy to move to New York and throw on a suit and tie and shave and date a bunch of New York chicks and have fun. I'm game for anything. The thing is there better be some good cheddar on the table for me to come out there to do. Like, there's gotta be like,
if someone gave you an opportunity where you said it's a 4-year plan in New York City to do this thing that's in your branded wheelhouse, you could adjust, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I'm going to want that fat.
I don't know the answer to this, but are you vegan? Are you vegan?
No.
I didn't think you would be. You didn't sound
healthy.
vegan. All right, so because that's where you and Marcus disagree in the food world. Because
there's no disagreement between Troy and I.
Differ. Is differ fair?
Okay, that's a good word. I like that word. It's only 5. There's only 5 letters in it. I can handle the word differ.
All right.
6.
I don't know. 6. I was gonna say, how are you counting? 2 F's, Marcus.
Sorry. See, I don't have a high IQ. I'm just I'm a street fighter.
By the way, can you
what's your comfort food, Troy?
Prime rib and bacon.
Wow, love that answer.
So you want to have kids again, and if you meet the right lady, you're into marriage and monogamy.
Yeah, I mean, monogamy is good. I'm a romantic. I danced around with the idea of polygamy, and it's just like, I think there's more problems there. I think if you could pull it off, I think that's no problem. I like my ex-wife, right? She just has a problem with me. But I actually like her, and I'd like to keep her on the team. She cuts me off sexually. I think that's fucking bullshit. You can't do that. That's emotional harm to someone. She cuts me off sexually. She cuts me off emotionally, but she's a good business person, and she's shrewd, and there's a lot of things that I like about it. I like to have her on the team, and then I want to make some more babies, and she's a little bit out of the baby making situation right now. So. Is that ideal? Maybe. Is it not really in our culture? It's not really in our culture, but it used to be, right? Tribally, it made the tribe strong. The Chinese, the women used to find the concubines for the husband to keep them happy and keep making money for the family.
I call the good old days.
What's that, Ralph?
I said that's what I call the good old days.
Yeah. Well, look, I don't know what's right or wrong because we have social engineering and conditioning around feminism and layered stuff like that. But the fact of the matter is I'm open to other ideas, and the way things that are worked out right now and how women can take men for all their money, and the ideas around feminism and separating the family and who's watching the children. I think it's the number one job on the planet is the mother nurturing the children and nourishing them. And the food supply has gotten completely out of control. We bastardized it, and childhood obesity and cancer and diabetes are through the roof. And so, I'm open to what works. not what is conceptually ideal. And I'm a romantic. I can be extremely monogamous. I have been the majority of my life. But you cut me off from sex, I'm going to go out and find some. Maybe.
Can I ask a question, Marcus? I'm curious. Dietarily, what do you do? Like, because you are obviously in great shape. Is it all just natural food? Like, or do you really watch what you're eating? Like, or you just listen to your body? What's your dietary path?
Yeah, I eat very, very clean, super high quality food most all the time. I'm into intermittent fasting and juicing. I've been juicing for 33 years. I work with a superfood company. I don't juice that much anymore because the level of dried powders we've been able to create, like 2 scoops of water out the door. I'm a very busy person, so I need that. And then I eat usually 1 macro meal a day, which is usually above ground vegetables and high quality grass-fed meats and organ meats.
I mean, that, Marcus always touts the whole idea of no processed, as minimally altered as possible. So other than the vegan, non-vegan, you both seem to be on the same page there. Are you a religious person?
No, I don't like religions. I don't like control mechanisms. And I was accosted by a priest when I was 13 years old, picked me up hitchhiking in Marlborough, Connecticut, Father McGuire, Catholic priest, He didn't get my pants, but I got drunk as hell. Right. And then he started asking me, weirdo questions about sucking my dick. And I was like, yeah, I don't think I'm into any of that stuff.
Wow. Jesus. That's pretty wild. I mean,
sorry for that experience, brother.
At least he got out of there without any alterations to his pants.
Yeah. I mean, look, Spotlight won the Academy Award in 2015 or something. So it's all common knowledge, but we act like it's not,
To go on to your like retreats with men for a little bit, can you give me like a little overview on that when you do those man clan things?
Yeah, so I don't run boot camps, although it may look like that from outside. I take men through more yin principles than yang. Most men are yanged out to dry right now, or burnt out.
Speak to a neophyte that doesn't understand the difference. Can you elaborate a little bit? I'm not sure the difference.
So yin, yang are the 2 forces that are guiding us in this 3rd dimensional reality. Up, down, white, black, inhalation, exhalation, masculine, feminine, infinitum. You could talk positively or negatively on any subject, infinitum. And so if something's bad or good. So these are the 2 forces that are guiding everything. And the ancient sages have all said, walk the middle path, razor's edge, or balance. Balance is critical. And so I teach men balance. Right now, we're pretty yanged out, which is fire, which represents, you can burn out from too much fire. So cold water is very yin. So I take men into ice baths. I teach them Qigong, lowering the stress levels. The primary hormonal pathways are insulin, adrenaline, and cortisol. If your blood sugar is out of balance because you're eating all these weirdo diets or eating inflammatory foods, etc., that's going to affect your adrenaline levels, which are driven by cortisol. Elevated cortisol for long periods of time causes inflammation, and inflammation leads to disease. So people are basically facing burnout, right? And so I teach men basic fundamental principles. I help them get very clear on their dream, their purpose, their legacy, what they desire from their heart. With no females around, they can be vulnerable. And so a lot of talk around the fire, but I also take them through very intense holotropic psychedelic breath work. Holotropic is breathing for an hour and a half or so, and you go through and clear the emotional body. It really cuts the shit, it gets us out of the thinking brain. And usually I keep everything moving, and I keep everything fluid, and I keep everything in the feminine ultimately as well, because of the unknown. The guys don't know what's coming next. I bring some military guys there to bring the heavyweights there, to bring the structure there. But what I bring them through is very yin. It's very nourishing. It's very nurturing. I bring them back to themselves. And again, with no females around, men can really focus on what's going on in their own heart. And then we get them clear. We program the mind, which is a tool. I work with a lot of extreme athletes, And whatever the mind can believe and conceive, it can achieve. And the mind can cut through the fabric of reality, or fly like an eagle, like the Wright brothers wanted to do. And so we just need to get the mind focused from the heart's desire. The mind is a tool again. So that's kind of what I do in a nutshell.
Wow, that was a mouthful for sure.
Well, it was very well said, and I appreciate it. I have a question, not being a wise guy. Would you say that your program is for heterosexual men?
Yes. Well,
okay.
Look, if you want to be a homosexual and come out there, look, it doesn't matter. If you got a penis, this is for you.
Do you get any backlash?
That's a great slogan.
That's, by the way, that's tattooed on my back door. Anyway, do you get any backlash?
And actually, we have
women?
Gay guys that come there. So,
do you get any backlash from women because they say it's a misogynistic thing?
Women love it.
Also, wouldn't you agree? My question is this: part of removing the women is to remove the temptation. If you're a gay man, in theory, the temptation is there and you can't clear your mind. Is that wrong way to look at that?
Well, I mean, obviously, there's that component. Again, I'd have to think about, what gay guys come, but we don't discriminate. And I do believe that we've had some gay. Again, I don't discriminate. Look, I deal with people at face value. Right. If you show up at one of my events, I'm going to chuck you in some ice water, and then we're going to breathe. And that, I don't care what orientation you are, that, is going to clear the head. And then sharing around the fire, when women are around and heterosexual men are there, they're going to peacock and they're going to position. Right? Especially the alphas. They're going to position. I know that because I brought a woman to teach one time and it was a shit show, and that'll never happen again. And so, but with the gay thing, I mean, guys are welcome.
It'd be a very odd questionnaire anyway. So I get it that you can't really,
what I meant was that I could say that every type of workshop has to somehow have some specificity to it, obviously. And I get what you're saying. If you're trying to take men who generally live in the male concept of how we've structured society, where, they hide their feelings, they constrict, or, fight, flight, freeze. I like to add that to it. I can understand how, taking people out of that element and say, guys, we also have to really think about things that women really are naturally good at, like caring for our children. It seems that to me is a very yin principle that I'm learning watching my wife. We have a newborn who's 6 weeks old, and the way she cares for our child, I look at it differently than how I saw it in the past, which is I just see her in this incredible meditation, unlike any other type of meditation. She's entirely focused on the child's needs. She puts her needs secondary. She's in a constant state of in-loveness with this child. And I look at that and I say, wow, that takes the most amount of braveness. It's easy to pick up a sword and cut and slash, especially when someone's coming at you with it, right? They're coming at you with an axe. But sorry, Ralph, what?
No, go ahead.
No, but here's the thing. Here's our complementary opposites. In this fucked up world where everybody's trying to make everyone equal, that's fucking bullshit, right? I played Mr. Mom. I didn't have that nurturing genes. If the kids got too crazy, shut the fuck up. I don't have the patience and I can take them out to the park. I can let them play with sand for hours. I can feed them as best as I can, but not like she could, right? And then they exhaust the hell out of me. My hormones were waxed and taxed. And I was like, and that was my way of being a man. I'm like, when my business went down, she went back to one of her businesses. And I'm like, all right, me take care of children. I can do that. That's my manly thing. They would come through the door. She would come through the door at the end of the day. And the kids would just be all on her. Yeah, fuck you, Dad. We just want Mom. And then Mom would be exhausted, but she would still have enough energy for them. This is something that we need to study as human beings, as this social engineering bullshit, this SJW crap that we're being sold, this feminism bullshit that we're being sold, because this is the truth. The little meditation that your wife is in, that's very important. My mother didn't work until 1979. Feminism with Gloria Steinem working with the CIA started in 1973. They wanted two people to pay into the tax structure. This is social engineering at its best. Let's see what it actually is. Women truly, if you talk to them, they don't want to be a manager. They don't want to, even the girl that wrote that book, Hunt, Gather, she worked for NPR. She's like a lefty NPR researcher, and the daughter hated her. And I'm thinking, well, she's going and studying with the Mayans and the Inuits, and she writes this fascinating book on how to take care of children and how these indigenous people took care of children. Hey, newsflash, they weren't fucking running away on news. They weren't professionals. They were taking care of their children. They were with their children. And so this San Francisco, writer, she's like, yeah, my daughter's flipping out. Yeah, she wants her fucking mommy there doing that little meditation, feeding and nurturing her, not running off doing reports for NPR. This is the way of the world, in my humble opinion. This is how we got so fucked up. We take care of our natural roles, and it's all scientifically validated. Feminism, yeah, burn your bra. Men make their own fucking sandwiches, and then the world's going to be a better place because women are equal and they can go out there and do fucking bullshit. Fucking bullshit.
Well, I would say, my feeling is equal and different are fine. I don't think we could ever say that men should be on a higher level than women in terms of how we are treated, but we all have our different strengths and weaknesses. Is that not a fair
women
way?
Are more powerful. The divine feminine in its feminine is more powerful than the masculine.
Yeah. And then
if you've ever been around a woman who is present, if you've ever been around a woman who is present, I mean, nature's first law is self-preservation. So we all want to get laid at the biochemical level. If a beautiful woman comes into your space, but you ain't fucking her because she's got her boundaries, she's fucking dangerous.
Yeah. I would also say that
in the palm of her fucking hand. But how many women are in their feminine, actually, and they're present enough to have their own, actually in their feminine, but balanced with their masculine with a boundary.
There's a reason why all the romance novels always have the main guy is someone who takes control, there's that romance. Women do want that. Most women, again, speaking absolutes. And I also feel to your point, the reason why manliness, I guess you want to call it, has been downplayed for the last 50 years is we haven't had to kill cougars or protect against marauders. So that stuff that is inherently masculine has been diluted because there hasn't been a need for it. So at least from the societal perspective, so perhaps that's why it's gotten diluted. Does that make sense?
And I postulate that it's been designed because divide and conquer is the oldest trick in the book. The more they can divide the people, they don't have to deploy armies to control the people. And so divide and conquer, they are feminizing men, castrating men with xenoestrogens, plasticizers that affect the estrogens. They make the frogs gay. And what's happening is they feminize men. They've given them soy, more phytoestrogens. And then they get the social engineering with the Disney movies and the Prince Charming and the Happily Ever After, and it's layered, and then they sell them feminism and equality and all these other layered things, and it's fucked us up like pasta primavera. People don't even know who they are, and then they're much more easily controlled, easily manipulated, easily controlled, easily offended, easily manipulated.
Well, the only thing I would say is you had me until gay frogs. I don't know what that is, and I also really
I followed you on the gay frog
I like
thing.
pasta primavera. I'm gonna say one of my favorite.
Troy, you like me so far?
You guys are great.
All right. I want to add something to what you're saying for you. I'm just speaking to you. I'm not speaking to the rest of the audience because so
everyone else stop listening.
Everyone else stop listening. There's two components here. The first component is there are obvious physical laws of nature.
Yes.
And when you think about us as human beings, we're animals, not really any different than any other animal on this planet. We're animals. We live, we die, we decompose, we need elements, we're animals. The one thing that's extremely unique about us, very, very unique, is that we were given this mind and we can transcend in our minds our animalness. So for example,
And thumbs.
and thumbs, by the way, a lot of other things too, right? Eyebrows, flat head, whatever. But follow my point, please. Maybe
Yes.
I'm wrong. The idea here is that while my animal nature is telling me to go fuck everything that moves and try to impregnate, or my animal nature is saying, hey, look, he's got more food. I'm going to go get my axe and crush his head. There's so many aspects of my animal nature that are powerful and strong and serve a purpose. But the thing that's very unique is my ability to sit and contemplate and become compassionate and not have to act a certain way. So I can actually help other creatures as you do, help other creatures and be selfless. So I would say that while there is a huge difference between masculine and feminine, and certainly natural laws that govern the difference, the one thing that's unique is that we can transcend those natural laws. A woman can truly become a masculine creature in how she lives and not be in conflict in anything. And a man could be extremely feminine. A man could if it's working for them and that's the path they choose, it doesn't make a difference. We can transcend those complementary differences of yin and yang.
To a degree, to the degree that we are balanced and healthy and managing our own addictions, right?
Yeah.
And we have
Our reactions.
Massive opiate addiction right now. So society is working to the degree it's working, but I postulate it's not working. It's not sustainable. We've got 5% of the population using 30% of the natural resources, contributing to 25% of the pollution. That is, you can't export that. And China and India is catching up right now. We're choking off our own energy supplies. I worked in the Amazon. I saw the destruction of the ecosystem of the rainforest. We have to move from competition to cooperation. And what we're talking about is a lot of social engineering. Natural law is not going away anytime ever. Now, the law of gravity is superseded by the law of lift. I do believe there are evolutionary elements that we can move beyond. And I do believe that the human being is the most technologically advanced piece of equipment in the whole entire universe, according to my Maori shaman mentors. And I do believe that. And yes, we can evolve, but we must evolve beyond competition and killing each other and align with the laws of nature and biology and biomimicry, which states life creates conditions conducive for life. And right now we are not doing that. And yes, you can chop off your balls and do hormone replacement therapy and make a woman, but that is not natural. And I would also postulate that that is not balanced, and that also cannot create life. And so prime directive for life is to stay alive. Part of prime directive is to procreate. So the animal nature is in there. It's part of the biological experience. But ultimately, spiritually, we are much more high vibrational than that. But we are here in the third dimension to experience this tactile experience. And basic laws around biology and natural law, they're immutable. They're not going away.
How many more years do you need to work out all the philosophies in your mind? What would be a perfect life sentence for you?
I think I got another 100 years at least.
That's a long time.
And I do believe that we're immortal. And I plan on transitioning into the next dimension awake. You know, it's listed in the teachings of the masters of the Far East. It's a scientific document from the 1800s. You know, I highly recommend reading it for Ralph.
I was going to say, provided you don't die from your toe infection, you got another
Ralph, I know that you're scrambling for time. I'm sure
I am scrambling for time.
Troy, you're a great guest. I really appreciate your.
It's funny. I would say this, Troy. Like, I'm on board with. Oh my God, look at that! I can't even look at that. It's horrible.
It's dried blood. Stop being a pussy.
I can't look at it. I'm looking away. I'm on board with about 70% of what you say. I'll put it that way. I think a lot of this stuff makes sense to me. Then you lose me here.
That's a lot.
There.
70. Come on, Ralph.
There's
He's
a lot
saying
of
all the
you
same
lost
shit that
me.
you say. He's just saying it with different flavors. Come on.
No, there's a couple things I don't want to get into right now, but overall, I think you're a good dude. I would say that. I think you're a good dude.
Fun. If we were lost,
I would want him to lead
if
the
we were
pack,
lost
yeah.
on an island, you're definitely one of the guys I want on the team for survival. But if we couldn't find food, I'd be watching you because I have a feeling you'd try to eat my left ass cheek. Will you come back on the show for us, Troy?
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are awesome.
All right, let's do this. You can follow him everywhere at Certified Health Nut, TroyCasey.com. There's a lot of information there about your book and upcoming events and stuff like that. It's where you can go to find everything Troy Casey. Am I leaving anything out?
No, that's it. I'm easy to find.
Troy, are you going to run for president when you get into your 60s?
How about his 60s? How about his 120s? He's got plenty of time left.
That's true.
Follow me everywhere at I am Ralph Sutton. My other podcast, the SDR Show, Sex, Drugs, and Rock and Roll Show. Marcus, you want to get
You guys
in there?
didn't get the memo. I ran for president of planet Earth last year and I won. And my platform is just as good as anybody else's platform. I'm ready to go toe to toe with anyone. I'm president of planet Earth, though, guys.
I love that.
I look forward to reading your political notes. Go ahead, Marcus.
I got nothing to plug, man. I already arrived. What am I?
Well, when is Good Sugar? When can we look to start getting deliveries again from Good Sugar?
A couple of weeks, man. We have great stuff. You know, we're working it out. We have a test kitchen right now. I'm negotiating a lease in New York City for the. I'm gonna call it. This is probably not to your liking, Ralph, but you know, we've been looking for a name of what do you call something that's not a cafe, it's not a restaurant. Juice bar is way too restrictive. I'm calling it a longevity bar.
Yeah, you said that at the top of the show. I don't love it, but I'll let it slide.
I appreciate it.
Just because when there's food, a bar doesn't sound like it would serve food. That's my problem with it.
You know, I want to take out the specificity because there's content, there's podcasts, there's books already written and out there.
Put that all on the billboard.
Yeah, right. Just have it all in one. No, I think it's cheesy enough to catch people's attention. I think longevity is more important than the other things that people look for in the moment, like a flash diet or things like that. I think ultimately people just want to make it, you know?
All right, I'll let it slide. All right, thank you all for being a part of this week's episode of Good Sugar, and we'll see you next week on GSP.